All right, we are live. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Weekly Review. This is number 8 that we are on, 8 weeks straight. I'm here with Chris Patel, as always, our co-host. 34 people already. Phenomenal. Love it, love it, love it.
Nice.
Sachin is off for the next 2 months because Sachin is getting a big bag from a client. And when you get a big bag from a client, you kind of got to just go into zero dark 30 mode for those who know LeBron and go to work. So we're going to have some rotating guests. And this week we have Jay from the Palantrillion channel. You guys probably know him if you're into me, if you're into Chris. I mean, he's in your feed as well. He talks about Palantir and he talks about him at a pretty pristine level. And he's always up to date on a lot of the news that comes out on Palantir. So we're happy to have him. Now, the title of this video is not incorrect. We did sell our Palantir. And we each want to start off with a reason for why we sold off our Palantir. I'll start off first. I think that my hair is better than Alex Karp. And I think that what Karp is doing is trying to act like his hair is actually legit, and it's not. He's trying to act, he doesn't touch his hair often. For those who watch my videos, you guys know I touch my hair. It's why I wear the hat so much, because I'm tired of touching my hair. I think he doesn't touch his hair, and I think that's a bit obnoxious. Because I think if you truly loved your hair, you would touch it. You would feel it, right? There's those 5 love languages, like physical touch. That's one of those. I don't think he loves his hair. I don't think he touches it. And as a result, I have liquidated my entire Palantir position. I didn't take a $400 million loss. I took a $24,000 loss. And now I'm looking to put my money into Mullen. I'm putting my money into Mullen stock. So that's what I'm doing. Jay, how about you? Why did you sell your Palantir?
Now I'm looking to put my money.
It's Kathy Wood, man. That's why else would you? I mean, Kathy Wood is probably the number one investor in the history of investing, and the fact that she actually ended up putting $1 billion worth $1 billion in Palantir, and then selling everything at $400 million loss. I mean, holding Palantir after that point is like betting against Kathy. And betting against Kathy is betting against innovation. Betting against innovation is betting against America. Betting against America is like betting against the world. And I mean, what other reason do you really need to, still hold Palantir? It just wouldn't make sense at that point. So yeah, that's it.
I kind of gotta agree with you guys. I sold my Palantir because I stopped believing in America. I'm sorry, Jay. When you look at it, this company does nothing but destroy America. It was literally built to destroy America. The first thing that they did was, let's figure out a way to take all these people's information, sell it to China, sell it to Russia. Like our friend Ross Gerber said. I didn't realize how right Ross was until literally yesterday. After doing some deep dives and digging, I realized we lost Afghanistan because of these guys. It wasn't because of all the incompetent part of the military, all that. It's because this company was involved. So right now, I have a feeling that if it wasn't for Palantir, Putin wouldn't even be in Ukraine right now. He literally, I think, invaded Ukraine just to mess with Palantir. I almost have a feeling, and I bet you, George Soros realized it, and George Soros is like one of the smartest investors of all time. Dude, it's amazing. I could not be involved with a company that literally sells data to China and Russia. Thanks, Ross, I know I took a huge L on this one, but I believe Ross Gerber was totally right on this one.
I mean, Owen said it in the chat. Palantir is the worst company in the world behind Facebook. Palantir is worse than Facebook. You think Facebook's targeting ads, making girls want to do bad things to themselves is bad? Think about Palantir. They try to get enterprises to modernize their operations. That is evil. That's it. It's evil. That's it. I sold Palantir because he wouldn't let me into his barn. That's another problem. He tries to keep that barn so secluded. By the way, he cashed out on $1 billion of stock last year in his little old barn. So, why would he, why would he keep it to private to himself? Jay?
He did say the F word. I was skiing with him over the weekend. I'm not going to lie. So, I mean,
right, I forgot.
Cool barn, but yeah, he still couldn't convince me to hold the stock.
And of course, it is still April 1st where we are. Thank you guys. Welcome to the April 1st special of the Weekly Review. If we did this for April 1st, I wonder what we're going to do for Halloween. It's going to be some fun topics that are going to come up here.
I'm saying I'm going to wear an outfit for Halloween.
Well, we're going to talk about a couple things. Someone said, did you watch CodeStrap's new video? Yes. So we have 3 main agenda topics, or 4. Number 1, we're going to talk about this new federal advisory board that Palantir created. Number 2, we're going to talk about today's news the partnership with Caresoft or whatever that the name of that company is for government reselling packages. Number 3, we're going to talk about how Palantir mentioned Alex from Ticker Symbol U and Arnie on Twitter, so some of the retail investors in the community. Number 4, I forgot to mention this. We got to talk about the Google news. We're gonna mention a little bit of the Google news, and I think that's it. Those are the 4. I have one more thing, but I'm forgetting the 5th thing. Oh, Code Trap. We're gonna talk about Code Trap stuff. So we have 5 things on the agenda, and then we'll get you guys out of here hopefully in an hour. First thing we got to do, though, is we got to react to the man of the hour. Palantrillion is on our channel, and he made a video today for April Fools. And I think we got to react to it and just see what he did. Because when I saw this video today, I was laughing in the morning. I didn't even brush my teeth yet, and I was like, "This is a A-class comedy." Let's share my screen right here. If you guys have not subscribed to this guy, please make sure you subscribe to him. If you like me and Chris's channel, you definitely will like his channel as well. Here it is. Let me know if you guys can't hear. I think it should be fine. You guys ready? Let me do it like this. There we go. Perfect.
Hey guys, it's me, Jay here, and today I want to talk to you about why I decided to sell 99.15% of my Palantir stocks just yesterday. And for you that are surprised, do not be surprised, because if you were part of my member scores...
Guys, mute your mics. There you go.
Not part of my member scores, you link down at the bottom below, only $5 a month on my Patreon page, and prices do go up. They go up every day when I make a video. They continue to go up. I'm not exactly sure why they go up, but I just know that they go up, and the coupon code's about to expire. So please go ahead and subscribe, because if you are subscribed, you would have known that I sold 99.15% of my Palantir shares prior to me actually selling. So for those of you that are part of the members course, congratulations. And today I am going to share with you why I decided to sell 99.15%. This might come as a shocker to all of you, especially those of you that follow my show and this channel, because you know that I've been very bullish about Palantir. And anytime that somebody said something negative about Palantir, that they sold Palantir, or Cathie Wood is selling Palantir, I was like, I am not selling. I am going to buy the dip, and I am a big defender of buying the dip. However, this time around is different, and the reason why it's different is because market sentiment is going down. And when market sentiment goes down, then momentum goes down. And when momentum goes down, then stocks go down. And when stocks go down, then my portfolio goes down. And when my portfolio goes down, then my wife is not happy, and that's not good. And I am going to show you right now, statistically, what is actually happening to the stock market. So this is Palantir here. And Palantir sentiment has been good, but as the sentiment has gone down this way, then my portfolio has also gone down this way, and my mood has gone down this way. So when the market, everybody starts going down this way, then the stock no longer goes up. Don't pay a lot of attention to that. It makes sense when you don't look at it for a long time. And that is the reason why I decided to sell, because the psychology of everybody in the market right now is changing towards the down.
All right, I think we got a lot out of that video, what we wanted. That was an A-class video. Subscribe to Palantrillion. Obviously, he was doing a little bit of a Meet Kevin parody, just a little bit of fun, you know, poking the bear a little bit. Jay, can you speak to what was the motivation behind that video? And also, Jay's the man, Drew, super chat $2. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, you the man, Drew. Yeah, who's Meet Kevin?
Okay. Guess that answer. Do you have any beef with him? Is that why you made the video, or it was just all fun?
No, obviously I have no beef with him. My channel's too small to be beefing it with me, Kevin. You know, he has like 1.8 million subscribers. I have like 8.9K subscribers. So I'm not a big fan of Meet Kevin. I don't like his whole branding. He brands on authenticity, and and he's obviously playing like a salesman, almost caricature on his channel. At least that's the way I feel about it. And I did have a problem when he went out and he sold, and how he went against like his YouTube audience and his members course, and to me, it was just really awkward and cringy to watch him trying to explain, like, if you would have been part of my members course, you would have known beforehand. So it was like that was just like really cringy when you're like this authenticity brand that you're playing. So from that perspective, I think he plays a caricature, and that video was just like, to me, it was like, like it was just funny because like a lot of the things that I was doing, a lot of the tropes that he uses and things like that, I just felt like that's actually what he does. It's like, how can you take yourself serious when these are the things that you say and you do? Because like I wasn't too far off from what he actually says and does. So that's like that's my take on Meet Kevin. Don't have beef with the guy. He has a brand. He has he's selling like news, and he's, he'll jump on any topic, whether it's housing, and then he jumps up to stocks, and then jumps onto COVID vaccine and the $2,000 checks a month or whatever. He jumps on from one topic to the other. He's really good, very charismatic in front of the camera. But honestly, man, like it's funny because like out of all the channels that I watch, you're like the one person, Ahmet, that has a similar style to me, Kevin. What I mean by that is you're able to stand in front of the camera.
You just called me unauthentic. Called me a fucking loser. Called me a salesman.
The opposite, though. The opposite. You have the ability to stand, because I think that's one of the things that's like really.
Me and Jay were on the phone last night at 12 a.m. too, prepping for this. He was talking all this good stuff on the phone.
Dang, like, I can't believe you don't sleep. You don't sleep. Your work ethic's crazy. No, but like you're able to stand in front of the camera and just like be able to talk and just flow with your thoughts pretty much, and do it authentically. You're not using tropes. You're not doing all of that. So I think like what Meet Kevin tries to be as a brand, you actually do it. It's just right. So like the brand that he's trying to sell, that's actually what you actually do without all the branding and I don't know, all those tropes that I find really cringy. But why you got to ask me about Meet Kevin though?
Because you did a whole video impersonating him. No, I think what you're saying. I think I think if you're selling something, that's when the tropes start to become more apparent. If he wasn't selling $1,000 course or whatever, and again, I have no problem with that, whatever. But like as soon as you have money on the line, the tropes start to become more tropish. And someone like me, someone like Chris, what do we have? Subscribe to our channel on the line. We don't have money. We're not selling anything like that. So that's it. But I'm happy we're here. We got some stuff to discuss on Palantir. First of all, in the chat, we have a lot of people. Owen, he is shorting, he's selling Upstart and Path, short these. $3 per super chat. Owen, you cannot afford that. I will PayPal you the $3 later, so you can keep your money. But, Path had a very interesting path this week, and we're going to talk about that. Owen is so interesting. He's one of the guys in my Discord. He gets a new stock every week that he's obsessed with. Once it was Astra, and it's Upstart. And for some godforsaken reason, after Path fell, he was like, Path is the way forward. I'm like, okay. But Palantir seems to not be on his radar. Keep my stock's name out of your effing mouth. If we saw the Chris Rock stuff, we could talk a little bit about that. Drew's in the chat, Sean's in the chat, Kelly's in the chat. A lot of cool people in the chat. Let's get to the first news of the week. Let's start off with this news today. They partnered with Caresoft Palantir, and Caresoft is a government reselling package IT solutions provider or vendor to the government. Let's start off with Chris. What was your reaction to this news, and why do you think it is hopefully bullish for Palantir?
So it just goes to show you that like they're changing around their sales model. So essentially what they were trying to do is
a little bit rough right now. Just a little bit down.
Yeah, let me just turn it up. Hold on. How's that sound now?
Better. Go ahead.
All right. So one of the things is Palantir has always been doing a lot of the sales, like trying to just reach out internally to the government and to the private sector. But one of the things that they're starting to do now is develop channel partners. These people have already pre-existing relationships with the federal government, with the state, local governments, and even organizations, so that this way they can provide a solution. So a lot of times what happens is instead of going directly to Palantir, they're going to these third parties, and these third parties are able to provide a service, and they're able to use Palantir as a reseller. So if you look at some of the some of the companies that Palantir has partnered with in the past, these companies have had long-standing relationships with the government, right? In which case now they go to them and say, "Hey, listen, this is our use case. Help us build it around it." Because what happens is the government is not in the business of trying to develop its own teams and everything else. They usually just want a solution, and they don't want to pay like a giant service contract that has to go through all sorts of vetting. So they actually rely on a lot of these smaller companies to get the job done. So it's almost like, hey, I need to find out how many tanks are in Russia right now. Now, could they go and, get Palantir software, hire a bunch of people to find out? Or do they just hire a private company who uses Palantir and gets that information and then, filters it to whatever organization they have? So it's like things like that. I'm not saying that that's a use case, but I'm just saying that this is the kind of stuff you have. So if you look at a lot of...
would be selling parts of Foundry to departments in the government that need it, correct? That's how it works?
Yeah.
And what does Palantir give them? They give them like a 5% commission or a flat? How does this work?
So those kinds of details are somewhat hazy. You're not really going to know. All I do know is that what happens is Palantir contracts with a company like, I don't think it's called Caresoft. Let me just look at it. I think it's called Caresoft, but let me see. I don't want to call it something it's not.
News today made me care hard, if you know what I'm saying. Okay. And Jay, what are your thoughts on this news that came out today while Chris is digging?
So actually, I have a question for you. So on Twitter, there's been a lot of buzz, and I made a video, and now I'm not too sure whether that information was correct. Some stuff that I shared on the video. So from that Caresoft partnership, on the Caresoft website, when you go under like Palantir's overview and their security clearance and detail information based on that, they have listed IL6 DoD clearance on the Caresoft website. So a lot of folks are like, "Well, look, we didn't hear that this was announced. They have impact level 6 DoD clearance. This is something that we knew they were going to get. It looks like they finally got it." So I kind of went off of that as well. Like if Caresoft is putting that in their website, that's probably because Palantir has that. But then I went to their Palantir's InfoSec website, and it seems that they don't have impact level 6 clearance just yet. Because under their accreditation reports, it does show that they have IL5 DoD SRG, but it doesn't look like they have IL6 just yet. It looks like what they're saying is our software is prepared to have IL level 6, but it doesn't have IL level 6. So I don't know if any of you got a little bit more clarity on that.
I think that was a little bit confusing on Twitter. Some people thought they had it, some people thought they didn't. I think it is kind of the thing in the middle. They're preparing to get it, so it's on some parts of the website, but it's not officially there. So that probably will happen in the future, most likely. But in terms of them working with a vendor, contractor, IT provider like Caresoft, any thoughts on like if that's good or bad for them, or what do you guys think?
So I was on Sean's channel earlier today, and I wanted to kind of just give everyone an analogy because I think those are a good way to explain what this means. I would say imagine this: Palantir is a farmer and they're farming apples, and they have a whole bunch of apples right now, right? Would you go and buy, sell apples at the farmer's market? It's one thing. You're only going to have a very limited, thing. You have the juiciest, tastiest apples, but you're only in one farmer's market. By going to someone like Caresoft, right? Caresoft is a reseller of software, and they have these long-standing partnerships. So they're almost like Kroger, right? Where they have a presence everywhere, and they've worked with the government before.
Like they don't sell the movie, but they sell the DVDs of the movies.
I mean, if you want to call it that,
right? Like that's
but that's what they do. They get a certain price, right? And they aggregate it, and then a government comes and says, "Hey, we need a solution," and they actually will present ideas to the government and says, "Look, you can either get Palantir, you can either get IBM's solution, you can get this company's solution, you can get that company's solution, but we'll help you tailor it to your needs," right? So essentially, that's what they're doing. They're third-party service providers in that they'll actually do the reselling of the software. So that will mean that Palantir doesn't get 100% of the margin on that software, right? So basically right now, if you were going to sell directly to the government, you would get 100% of that revenue. Whereas if you go through Caresoft, you're going to get a certain percentage as opposed to what you would have got, if you had directly sold. But that also means that Palantir doesn't have to send like engineers as part of that contract and do all these other things. Caresoft, being that they're a partner, they can actually do the integration work too. Like they have hired people hired. Yeah, exactly. So it's the other way to I would say explain it is, think about it this way: if you bought a car from Honda, and then there's all these other little mechanic shops that says Honda certified. Caresoft is Honda certified, so it's almost like you can take your car there and they'll repair it, and you know that you're going to get a very similar quality to the dealership, right? So it's the same thing. So that's where the whole thing lies.
I just want to give a big shout out to Sachin. He is in the chat. We don't know how long he's going to be here, but he's watching. He says he is in the library. All 109 of you that are watching right now, if you know this joke, then you know. If you don't know, then one day you will know. The chat may not make sense right now about the library because you may not know, but that's okay because one day you will know. Now, before we move on, why are they called Caresoft? Because Microsoft is like Microsoftware. Why? Do you guys know why do they call Caresoft?
Dude, it's probably someone's name. No one really even knows why half their names are there.
Caresoft, like what is the? It's such an interesting name.
It's probably like the CEO, whoever was the founder of the company. They just put their name on there and put soft on it as software. That's probably it.
Kara H Soft. It might be like Kara and then middle initial H and then they put soft. Okay, just wondering what you guys think. All right, that was the Caresoft news. Now the second piece of news that I thought was interesting. I want to go first on this, then we'll go Jay, then Chris. Is this federal advisory board? So I wake up on Wednesday. I see this news that Palantir announces federal advisory board. I look through the press release, and they've got people that are like decorated veterans. The one that stood out to me was the former Secretary of the U.S. Air Force, and they were there on the federal advisory board. And immediately my brain goes to, how does this make sense for business? Because they're trying to portray it as like, this is going to help make our Gotham governmental solution product better. We're going to get more insight. We're going to get strategic advice and consulting from these people. If we're making a product specifically for the Air Force, we can call up the person who used to work on the Air Force and literally be like, hey, do you think this is a good idea? Right? Valuable stuff. But I'm also thinking, well, this is an easy way to lobby governmental contracts, because if I'm a governmental provider and I'm giving out a really big contract, do I want to give it to a company that doesn't have this type of federal board that's helping the company get better at building the product? Or do I want to give it to a company that does and that has all the strategic consulting that they can get from that federal advisory board? So immediately I thought of it as like a huge lobbying effort to get more governmental contracts. I did not see it as some moral attempt for them to make their governmental business more pristine as a result of having these advisors on board. Jay, what were your thoughts with that news when you saw it?
And for those that don't know who's on that federal advisory board, I'll kind of go over some names here and like their titles. So it's the Honorable Christine H. Fox, former acting deputy of Defense and former assistant director policy and analysis at Johns Hopkins University Applied Physics and Laboratory. General Carter F. Ham, USA, retired, former commander, United States Africa Command, and former president and CEO of the Association of the United States Army. The Honorable Deborah Lee James, former Secretary of the United States Air Force. Admiral William H. McCraven, USN, retired, former commander, United States Special Operations Command, and former chancellor of the University of Texas. And Vice Admiral Peter V. Neffinger, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, USCG, retired, former vice commandant of the United States Coast Guard and former TSA administrator, United States Department of Homeland Security. And the reason why I want to read the names and what their titles were, because a lot of these folks are retired, is because it's actually that this board is quite expansive. It's not just like everyone's focused on one part of like a government agency. So it's pretty interesting to see that. I think, look, all this says to me, like it's almost as if Palantir got the message, got the memo that, hey, folks thinks that the government side of the business is decelerating. Let's put information out there. Let's show them that we're working on the government. Let's show them that this is not decelerating. Let's show them that our bonds are stronger than ever. And let's put that information out there, because all I've seen since this FUD of like the government contracts and government funds decelerating, all I've seen is Palantir just doubling down on specifically USG, but also around the world in other parts of the countries, in Spain and so on. So it's quite interesting to see that Palantir is doubling down on this aspect, but it's also it's great to see that they are. It looks like they're making the right connections. I mean, I don't see how anybody can look at news like this, the Caresoft news, this advisory board news, all the different deals that they've managed to reach, and think the government's decelerating. The government business does not have a moat. I don't understand how you look at these two things and come up with that conclusion. So it's kind of strange to me. Because I don't know about you guys, like on your channel, but when Palantir started selling off after that earnings report, and folks like Cathie Wood were selling off, I started getting a lot of like comments on my comment section saying like, hey, like there's too much competition in the government business and so on, which I find it kind of funny because like all of 2021 I dealt with FUD about them not being able to compete in the commercial side, and now it's like all this FUD about them not being able to compete in the government side. But it looks like there's no problem on that end, and Palantir is doing everything on their end to make sure that side of the business stays intact and continues to grow. So it's pretty exciting.
Shout out to CodeStrap. He's in the chat. CodeStrap, we will be talking about your video in just a little bit. Chris, your thoughts on the Federal Advisory Board?
I mean, I thought it was smart. I'm surprised that they didn't have this a long time ago, considering that, they've been working with the government for so long. I do know that they had some inside connections to certain special operations folk that basically were their cheerleaders in the government, and some senators and even some members of the House. But essentially, that's what government contracting is, right? When you're trying to sell anything to the government, it's one part making sure that the product fits with the contract that's out there, but it's also making sure that the legislation kind of like is almost like tailored specifically for use cases that you have. So an example is, if I know how to build an aircraft carrier, of course, I want people in Congress or in the military wanting more aircraft carriers. I don't want to be, pushing for them to build more submarines, right? So it's kind of the same thing when it comes to the software side, where you kind of need the inside loop on a lot of these connections. And the people that they have, they're former military. So there's two real big things that they're going to be able to bring to the table. Number one, their expansive career. These people are lifelong members of the military that have risen through the ranks. So they know the ins and outs of the government contracting space, where all the dead bodies are buried, not literally, but where pretty much all they know a lot, and they know what it takes to get a contract done. And they have personal connections to people that are still in the military, right? So if you're a commander for a person, you literally mentored them up to the point where they're a 4-star general right now and you're retired. Guess what? If your mentor says to you, hey, listen, you're going to go with Palantir because they can do this, that, and this for you, guess what? You're going to be like, okay, yeah, you know what? General McRaven.
Patting them on the head is like, you're going to go with Palantir.
And, and this is not exclusive to the military. It even happens in a corporate field too, because
this is dirty capitalism, baby. This is connections. And I don't say that in a negative way. This is how it gets done.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's one of the things you need. You definitely need connections. There's the other part of it too, which is you want to kind of like build and tailor products that the military is looking for, but the military doesn't come out and say, this is what we want, or this is what we're going towards in the next 5 years. These people can give you those kinds of insights that may not be readily available to the general public, right? So I know right now the biggest push in the military is for interoperability between all the services. So basically the Air Force needs to communicate with the Army needs to communicate with the Navy needs to communicate with the Marines. Everyone needs to be talking to each other, because when you're trying to kind of like complete a mission, we're no longer in a war fighting mode where we just have the Army doing their part, the Navy doing their part, and everyone operating independently. We're all working towards operating jointly. So it's kind of interesting how every service is going to work in that. But then it also means that you need power players on each of those services to kind of like certify that connection. So a lot of these guys that they've got on that advisory board are going to be able to kind of guide Palantir to say, look, if you want a contract with the Navy, but also keep the Army happy, these are the things that you're going to have to do. And this is how you're going to have to tailor it. This is how you're going to have to go after it. And this is the contract that you're going to need. And then on top of it, you also need them to kind of advise you on how to properly lobby. That's the other thing. The world of government contracting is, and I was telling it to Amit, there's two ways that you really get into government contracting at the really high level. Number one is through political connections, through lobbying. The Congress is what controls the money. Everyone thinks the president has all the power in the world, but no, the president only has the power to declare war. It's the Congress that's going to fund the war, which means that they're also going to be funding all the programs that are going to let you conduct war, right? So it's Congress that actually controls the purse that's going to enable you to actually, get whatever product that you're selling in the hands of the warfighter. Everyone thinks it's like me, Chris Patel, as the warfighter at the ground level. I'm like, yeah, I need a new gun. That's not how it works. Even at a 4-star general does not get to say, we want this gun. Believe it or not, it's the 4-star general has to go with his hat in hand to Congress and says, sir, we really want this new type of gun. It would be so much better for our troops if you gave us this type of gun instead of what we have right now. And Congress has the power to say, nah, keep using the shit you got 20 years ago. That's the power that Congress has. So it's the works the same way when it comes to a lot of these new softwares and everything else. So the legislation that Congress has, they can say, we are going to spend $50 billion additional next year for IT related purchases, right? Or we're not going to spend on IT related stuff. We're just going to leave your budget alone. So right now, if you have people in Congress that are like, yeah, we're going to support increase in IT spending or increase in software spending for the military, then that'll get pushed through. And that means that just means that there's going to be more contracts available for Palantir and all the other defense contractors to win. And trust me, and it's actually it's a little weird what I'm about to say, but there have been times the Pentagon has said, we don't need the money. And Congress has said, no, you need the money, take it. I know that sounds weird, right? But it does happen because even among politicians, they have constituents at home who have large presence of military manufacturers. Like an example is you have like Lockheed Martin. They have factories all over the place where they're building all these planes, right? So even the military says, yeah, we don't need that many planes. Congressmen from that area, you need these new planes. You need these new missiles, So it's weird that's one way. So you're essentially getting the contractors to lobby the politicians so that the politicians end up giving the military the money to buy these pieces of equipment. The other way, and this is the more old boys club kind of way, is that after a certain period of time, you're done with the military, you're about to retire, you've got grandkids and you got kids that you want to support. So what do? Your military pension is not that great. I can tell it's not a great pension, all right? Yeah, after all the work that you do, government pensions are not comparable to what you would have made in the private side. So if you think about it right now, you have a 4-star general. He is not making anywhere near what the CEO of a company is, right? But guess what? It's all the same level of work that you had to do to manage everyone, manage all the stress that you had to take. So how do they get that money afterward? It's almost like a golden parachute once they retire. Well, guess what? If they have those built-in connections with the defense contractors to say, hey, I scratched your back when I was a 4-star general and I approved your program to buy this piece of hardware. Yeah. Guess what? You're going to scratch my back when I retire and you're going to give me a board seat where I can actually, be a part of the company. So an example is our current Department of Defense, our defense secretary, Lloyd Austin, was on the board at Raytheon. Literally right before he became Secretary of Defense, he was working for Raytheon. Guess what Raytheon is getting a ton of right now? A ton of contracts. You know, and no offense, I'm not saying that, you know what, this is like some corruption, or this is everywhere. Every military general right now, especially the higher ranking ones, most of them are on some level of boards. What's his name? McMaster is on the board at C3AI. Did you guys know that? And McMaster was literally right there.
So you're saying this federal advisory board is just a bunch of people Palantir got together to kind of do the same thing that is going on?
Kind of, yeah. So one of the things that, and I know this sounds a little weird in that, how do you like develop that whole like system of like almost like guaranteeing a little bit of retirement? Well, guess what? Right now, Palantir is probably paying these people, because you think these guys are just coming and advising Palantir for free? No, of course not. Look at how much money they end up getting after all of this.
Do you think they're getting stock or no?
No, they're probably not getting stock. Maybe they're getting stock. I don't know, but they're definitely getting paid a good amount of money to show up, maybe like once or twice a quarter. I mean, that's whenever if you ever see how corporate boards work, they're not meeting every day. They have no real operational like responsibilities. All they really do is sit there and they vote according to what they feel is right for the shareholders that they represent, right? Most of the time, they're actually just a placeholder for an interest that has a large ownership over what is that thing called? Over the corporation. So it's kind of the same way where these people are not going to be, you know, on the board at Palantir, but this advisory board is going to be able to like provide an avenue of, how do I say this? Provide these people with an avenue where you can get paid after you retire because you did Palantir favors while you were in the military. And I know like, wow, that seems really corrupt. Yes, it does sound really corrupt. But guess what? The big four, like the contractors, Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, they all do it. They all
I think all of this is corrupt. I mean, anything in corporate world, and Jay will get your thoughts on this next. Like there are people that work at Google, Facebook, etc., big tech companies that only have those positions because of other things that have happened in order for them to get these positions. I mean, it's almost like it's kind of like there's this girl that I knew in high school. So I got waitlisted from Harvard, and she got waitlisted from Harvard too, right? She went to school in New York, way more upper class. I went to school in a low class neighborhood in Newark, New Jersey, right? In high school. So we both got waitlisted from Harvard. For those who don't know what that means you didn't get rejected, you got waitlisted. So it's like they kind of like you, but they don't like you enough to accept you in April. They're going to wait till May to make a decision. And then May comes around and I get rejected and she gets accepted. We have the same SAT scores, all this stuff. So I called her. I was just like, yo, like why'd you get in? Because like even we were both debaters, and even from a debate perspective, my debate accomplishments were just objectively better than her. So I'm like, how did she get in? Like, what is going on here? And she tells me we have a college counselor that talks to other universities, that is a dedicated person who works at our school, that our school kind of pays for. And like this person talked to the board of the Harvard admissions council. I mean, she's just flat out told me, she's like we just have someone who works at our school. And at that moment, that, you know, and that was when I was 17, 18 years old. That's when I realized the world isn't fair, and like it's never going to be fair. There's always going to be some type of political connection, and I've benefited from those as well, that get you ahead in life. And as a result, from a macro perspective, when I think of Palantir doing this federal advisory board thing, I don't think there's anything corrupt about it. I'm like it's really hard to get people to trust you. You've got to have an in that world. You're a $30 billion company. You better find ways to make those connections. This is just how the game is played. And at the end of the day, people are going to give money to people that they trust, and you get that trust from people that have inner circle connections. Jay, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think Chris's point of view is interesting. I would say that Palantir would not word it in such words. and there seems like, we're so glad this guy doesn't represent us. And I think that, you're right about that. I mean, the world kind of revolves on who you know, right?
It's not what you know, it's who you know, right?
Yeah. It's kind of based on that. And I would consider Palantir's move just to be strategic. They know how the world runs. They know what is required to get their foot in the door and continue to operate. And what they're doing is strategic. It's a very strategic company playing 3D chess, and just making sure that they're staying 2-3 steps ahead of the competition, and ahead of just making sure that their business continues to thrive so that they can reach their ultimate goal. But yeah, I think that
I'm gonna disagree with you on one point on that. I don't think they're playing 3D chess. I think they're just starting to play the game now, because before they thought that they could actually change the game. They could say, well, if we have such a great product, we don't need this stupid advisory board. We don't need these inside connections to push our product. Our product is just that good. Now they're starting to realize, hey, listen, regardless of how
We're not
good our
testing
product
it.
is,
Yeah.
you know, regardless of our product, if we don't have people on the inside pushing for it, we'll never get to get there. Tesla was different because it was a consumer product. So literally all you had to do was get the consumer to like it, and that was it. This is not consumer. There's so many deals that happen in the government, in the closed room, backdoor deals, that, you know, you can never just say, I have the best product. You need to have that support and that lobbying to get other people on the other side of that door, those closed doors, to say Palantir is a good product. And that's what they're doing right now.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, this whole idea that their product was going to sell itself, it obviously turned out to be false. I mean, I think it still will sell itself if it truly is leaps and beyond everything else. And we're going to get to CodeStrap's video, in which we'll be talking about how their software is playing out. But at the end of the day, you got to have connections. You're a SaaS. You're not a consumer business. The iPhone is not going to sell itself. I mean, like, the iPhone will sell itself. You don't have the iPhone, right? So at the end of the day, you got to keep working. Let's talk about some retail investor news. So I did an article this week on dailypalantir.com, which everyone should check out, on retail investors that were getting noticed by Palantir. Two of the biggest retail investors were ticker symbol U, who did a phenomenal video on Foundry. I suggest everyone watch it. It's a really good in-depth explanation that's simple. And Arnie, I think you guys may know him on Twitter, who tweeted some stuff about analytics and workflows and sort of the way Palantir operates between those. And both of them got reposted by strategic account managers at Palantir on LinkedIn with some very nice words, basically saying this is a great explanation of our technology. And the take on my article was like, look, they're watching. I mean, they are watching. I know they've seen me. They haven't acknowledged me yet, but I know they've seen me. So Jay, what are your thoughts on kind of them acknowledging? I mean, obviously they have a deal with Caresoft, right? So they've obviously acknowledged the retail community. But how do you feel about the stuff we saw this week?
Yeah, it's something that I've been also like just saying on my channel, that that Palantir's paying attention to the creator community, the YouTubers, Instagram folks, Instagram. I don't know anybody that follows Palantir on Instagram, but the Twitter folks, they're paying attention to what we're putting out there. I don't think it's quite a coincidence that I got on that conference call with Alex Karp. I think that that's something that ended up happening because we were for like 2 months talking about a conversation that Coach Trip and I had on my channel about developing this developer community. So I was posting things on my channel about this, and then one of my questions was exactly that question. So I kind of saw Palantir taking my question and then making me do like a little live video or pre-recorded video of that question as confirmation of like, yeah, they're paying attention to what we're saying, what we're doing. And then Coach Strap obviously is working with Palantir currently to demonstrate what Foundry can do. And then finally, as you mentioned, the ticker symbol U thing, they got recognized. Alex, I don't know if you guys watched that entire podcast, I guess, or interview with Coach Strap and Alex from ticker symbol U, or it was in his ticker symbol live channel. I watched the entire thing, and it was just great. It was great to see Alex like just kind of come to a realization, a better understanding of what Foundry was, and then just kind of bring a little bit more clarity to the things that Coach Strap was saying. And then after that, I guess because he got a little bit more clarity of what Foundry can do, he posted a video where he talks about what Foundry actually is and what it does in very simple forms. And then Palantir acknowledged that. So that's really great because it's showing us, it's almost showing us like they're collaborating with us to a certain extent, content creators. They're collaborating with us to provide.
What do you feel about this thing, Coach Rep just said? I would bet money the guy who posted that instantly regretted it. Do you ever see Palantir comment on anything? Chris, any thoughts on this? What is he saying?
No,
Maybe.
I think Palantir tries to be very coy
almost
about
like they
how
have a policy not to. I mean, maybe. Yeah. I mean, this is a little bit counter. All three of us are bullish on this. Maybe Coach Strap is right on this perspective. Like, they're not supposed to be posting about this stuff because they're so secretive. But it's nice when they do, right? As you're saying, Jay, it's like it's nice to be acknowledged at the end of the day.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I think at this point, Coach Strap would know more.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm like, I default to
He-
code, bro.
Yeah,
Code knows the code.
yeah. He has a direct connection and knows. He was under like a pretty heavy NDA when I got him on my channel to talk about Foundry, so he knows how strict they are. I don't know. Could it be, Coach Strap, that they're starting to be a little bit more open now that they have somebody that's a YouTube content creator posting Foundry stuff on their channel? I mean, that to me seems pretty open. So could policy around how secretive they are with their products start changing? And I wonder.
Trump's gonna get a Twitter. That's the question.
No.
So
I don't think
I would say this is a good move on their part. They need to be a little bit more transparent. As much as they like to pride themselves on being the secretive company with like this really amazing tech that's super hard to understand for the average person, and that's the mystique behind their product. That also means that a lot of people don't necessarily have confidence in it because they don't see too much of it, right? It's one thing to say, I have this great thing in this box over here, but if you never even show people what's in the box, then people are going to be questioning it. Like even among the developers and some of the people that I spoke to in IT, I asked them, like, what do you guys think of Palantir Foundry? And it really disheartens me when I hear the term, I've never heard of them. I'm like, what do you mean you've never heard of them? Like, how can you not have heard Palantir? They're like, no one's ever reached out to me. No one's even spoken to me about them. Why should I care who they are? I have Snowflake, I have Databricks, I have all these companies trying to reach out to me, doing all this stuff, getting me to buy their products. This company is not even reaching out. So why should I care what they do? And I'm like, well, what about their products? Like, have you ever looked into it? He's like, dude, I haven't even heard of the company. Why would I know anything about their products? And that's the part that kind of gets me a little bit. Because these are people that are in the IT world that don't know about Palantir and the products that they have. Now, I asked someone that was more senior that did know about Palantir, and they said there's two reasons why Palantir is being so secretive. And the reasoning made a little bit sense to me, but I'll share them with you. He said, one, either their product can be copied by anyone, and that's why they're so secretive. Like they don't want to release it out there, and then someone comes up with a competitor product right away, and they end up like losing market share. That was a thought that came to them first, right? Which was that they don't have anything super special. If the minute that they open the box and everyone can see what it is, other people just copy it and call it a day. I don't understand 100% the logic behind it, but that's one of the things that was communicated to me. The other thing that they said was that they are trying to like keep themselves in this, like as almost like a, how do I say, like a branding thing to this super
They're trying
secretive,
to be esoteric, mysterious.
yeah,
Byzantine.
right, mysterious, so that
SAT
people
words.
people will go towards it because they're always like, oh, what do they do? Let me find out. And I don't think that that's the right word. That's the right, I would say, the sales strategy in terms of software sales, because software sales right now is just, there's so much out there, right? So that people don't have the time to try to figure out what you do. Like we do because, we're investors in it, but I don't know. So yeah, Coach Strap said no one can copy Foundry in under a decade, and that's
Coach
being
Strap
generous.
is having balls of conviction on this, bro. The more he's playing with this software, he's But yeah, Chris, I get your point. And coming from an outsider's perspective, they may think there's two perspectives. Either they could be copied, or they want to do branding. Quick note: I think the branding thing does make sense to some extent. Okay, because like I was in college once, and I called this girl esoteric. And she was so happy that I called her that word because it meant that she was mysterious. It meant that she was different. And as a result of that, she liked me more. We started talking more, right? Because I called her esoteric. So that means I called her an enigma, a puzzle that can't be solved. And I kind of think the ethos of that identity being attached to a product, a brand, someone you like, anything, it's attractive because we all want the things that we can't have, or we all want the things that are more mysterious and have this level of mystique around them. So as soon as you said this branding thing, I instantly thought to that experience. And obviously it might not be the best for software sales, but it is the best it is interesting for a brand when it's something is different and we don't kind of have the ability to interact with it, It's not like Snowflake, right? It's not like out of the box, 6,000 people use it. It's a very secretive, cool, unique thing. Jay, any thoughts on that?
Well, I think the main reason why they're secretive is because 17 years of their business existing has been with the government sector, has been with very top secret work has been with customers that probably don't want their information out there. Not only with the government sector, but even the large enterprise commercial business deals that they make. A lot of them would rather stay private. I think I think from that perspective, I think that it makes sense why. This is something that's been brought up a lot, and I know that you guys have discussed this before. Like, would it be advantageous for Palantir to separate its government business from its commercial business? Because I think as long as those two are linked together, you're always going to have this sense of mystery and the sense of like we can't really talk about that. So I think that if you were to separate like the government from the commercial business, I would say that the commercial business, they'll probably be a little bit more open about their information, a little bit more open about their customers, and we wouldn't have like so much mysterious this mystery behind Palantir as we do today. So I think a lot of it just has to do with their government business. There's a lot of folks that they work with and a lot of work that they do that probably just cannot get out there.
But from a stocks perspective, isn't it good that it's also a little bit esoteric and mysterious? Just like it's a $13 stock. I know it's a 30 billion market cap or whatever, but like Snowflake, I mean, it's going to keep growing, but it's pretty expensive. I mean, you could say it's properly valued, but it's a almost $300 stock, right? Like, isn't it kind of good that no one knows about it while we're the ones who know about it?
Yes, if you're bullish on the company and you do your research on the company, and you realize that most people, especially like on Wall Street, don't really value it the way they would value a Snowflake because they don't get a lot of information from it, and it keeps the stock low. Good, but I think a lot of people also just see they invest in companies based on what the stock movement is doing. So from that sense, like sentiment could be low for this company for a very long time, even though this company's like killing it with their government and their commercial business. Sentiment's going to stay low, and they're not going to have this multiple unless they start doing like 100% growth in revenue or something like that, which I don't think we're going to see right away. I think we're going to see it at some point. I think there will be an inflection point, but that's probably later on in 2024, 2023, maybe. I don't know. We'll see this inflection point where commercial and government business just like gives them 100% growth. And that's probably when Wall Street comes around and says like, whoa, this is crazy. But for the past year, even though they've been killing it as a business, stock's going to stay down for a while, and the multiples, they're not going to be rewarded higher multiples because people don't. Again, they see it as a consultancy business that still doesn't go away, and so yeah. I mean, it just depends for you. For me, it's like as long as it can stay low for a while, I'm happy as an investor. But I know that not all investors are like that. So.
All right, I guess we're moving on to the next topic. CodeStrap channel. If you guys haven't subscribed yet, definitely subscribe. Now, I did not get a chance to fully get into this video. I'm going to get into it tomorrow. Everyone watch this video after you guys watch this. Chris and Jay, I believe you got a little bit of a taste of it. What are your thoughts? Foundry in action, code repositories, CodeStrap's first Foundry in action live video. What do you think, Chris?
I think it was great. I think from what I could see, and CodeStrap is trying to demonstrate, I think this kind of and he mentioned it more than a few times, that this provides a huge improvement on time to value, where you're actually able to do so many things and reduce the amount of time required to get from point A to point B. That's one of the biggest value propositions for Foundry. So right now, when you're doing software development, you're trying to clean up data, you're trying to work with it, especially if you're a data engineer. You have to go through a lot of steps. You have to do a lot of things just to get the data to be in a format that actually can be utilized by data science and everything else. What CodeStrap was essentially doing was kind of like working to do that, but he was doing it in literally minutes, where things like that usually take days or even weeks. So that's the part that I think is amazing to see, that, even if there is something that needs to be done, the time frame can be shortened considerably. And I think that's where a lot of companies right now, when you're spending money, the worst thing the biggest cost that a company has is money. But what does money mean? It also means time. So if you can reduce down the time, that means that you're saving money in developing something that you were going to do, and even saving personnel, because what he was actually doing may require more than 1 or 2 or even 3 people to do. In which case, if you could reduce the total number of people doing the same exact thing, that ends up being a cost savings too. So right now you're starting to see like, and that's the value proposition for Foundry, and maybe CodeStrap can put it into that. And this is the lowest module for which all the data flows into ontology. Yeah. So that's the technology behind Palantir, right? And that's their value proposition. We give you back your time. That's
Can you
it.
explain what a repository is real quick, if you know what that means?
I would say
It's where,
that
like,
that's
the code settles into one place, right?
well, there's code right now. Software is not built like you don't like when you're trying to make software, you're not building every single thing, right? You're not building
Right.
every single part of it. What you're essentially doing is pulling and pushing and pulling things from a repository where other people have already had code, and you're using that code, you're copying it to your specific needs, and then you're tailoring it to what you're trying to do, right? So a lot of stuff right now is open source. So basically, they lives in things like GitHub and GitLab and everything else, and essentially you're getting that. So you're querying it, you're getting the code, you're utilizing it, but you're tailoring it to your needs. So that's what it is. So it's just a connection to a repository where code already exists.
Jay, thoughts?
I can't speak much to like the technical side of what CodeStrap is doing. What I can say is when I first met CodeStrap, when I first had him on my channel, CodeStrap wasn't this. I don't know if you guys have been seeing his comments right now, but he's saying that obviously he's really bullish on the company, and he thinks that this decade you cannot replicate what Foundry is doing. So he's very excited about the company, and that really makes me excited as an investor, as somebody that makes content about Palantir. Because when I first met CodeStrap, it wasn't in those terms. He was actually pretty negative about Palantir on my comment section. I don't know that a lot of folks know that. And the main reason why he was negative, like if you know anything about CodeStrap, he's kind of like his main role is to like help companies scale, reach scale. And so it's obvious that he thought that the forward deployed engineer business model that Palantir had was not the most efficient model and would not help Palantir to scale. And he also had his reservations about what Foundry can actually do. So he was kind of like bearish on my comment section, and I interacted with him. Obviously, right away, I realized like, oh, this guy knows his stuff. And then he posted a video and told me like, hey, I posted this video. You should check it out. So I saw the video, and it was a little bit confusing because he explained Foundry to the limits of his understanding of it, because at that point, he didn't understand it as much as he does now. He explained Foundry in a way that was like, oh, this is actually pretty bullish if Foundry can actually do these things. So now to see CodeStrap actually get under the hood and post these videos where he's actually showing us what it can do, and to see his excitement behind it, that's pretty interesting, because this guy says it as it is. He's not trying to earn brownie points or anything from Palantir. He's just as a developer, he's excited about what these tools can do and what it means for him as somebody that's in this field, and for the folks that he gets to work with. So, like I'm really excited for what he's posting out there. I did watch this video, and back to what Chris was saying, it just looks like it's a time to value type of thing where you are getting your time back, and with that time, your company can definitely grow much faster and deploy resources in other locations that otherwise would have, and time and money that would go in building your company software wise. So it looks like that from that perspective, it's pretty exciting what's happening. And so yeah, that video it takes me like I have to watch it like 2-3 times, unfortunately, on my end, because I just don't understand a lot of the tech jargon that is used and what it actually achieves on that end. So that's why, like the ticker symbol U interview, I thought that was really great, because it was like CodeStrap does a pretty good job at trying to make it attainable for a lay folk to understand what Foundry is doing. And then Alex just takes it just another step, makes it another step a little more attainable. So I kind of, that's why I really appreciate that. But yeah, it's kind of challenging to keep pace with CodeStrap and his videos and stuff like that.
So there's a comment I want to address on here, and it says, I have a question. Saving time is good, but Palantir costs millions depending on the customer. Paying an engineer an extra week's salary versus paying millions for Palantir. It's a very interesting question. Now, I'll say to this person, what is the cost of failure? Because that is essentially what all these people are signing up for. It's not, a lot of this stuff is not as easy as you just hire someone. First of all, you have to hire the right person. Right now in this job market, good luck finding a good data engineer and good data science team that's going to enable you to do all of this. And on top of that, those teams have a failure rate of almost 75 to 85%. So it's not just wasting time, it's also wasting time and then failing on top of it, reiterating and doing it again and constantly failing before you have an end product that's actually usable. That is the other thing. So if you're trying to reduce down your failure rate, you're going to need a product like Foundry that just works. That's the other key thing that that's in there as well. So it's not just the cost of time or giving you back time, but it's also saving you from failing so many times. And that's been mentioned so many times. You know.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. Yeah, I didn't get to jump into the video yet. CodeStrap in the chat, he's saying, wait for developer reaction videos. That's going to be fun, man. When developers find this stuff on YouTube, just pop into their feed. Or, you know, it starts circulating the developer community, and they're able to kind of look at what Foundry is doing with code repositories and get their perspectives on it. I mean, that stuff's going to be invaluable. And this is the stuff CodeStrap was talking about in January. I mean, he was talking about this stuff in January that we need a developer community. CodeStrap says, if things were that easy and cheap, I wouldn't be running a YouTube channel for free. Very good point. Very good point.
Yeah, and CodeStrap's target audience is not me. It's the developer community. It's the IT folks that want better solutions, and his channel is targeting those folks, saying like, "Hey, here's the better solution." Yeah.
There's also a macro level problem that we have in this industry as well, and that there aren't enough data engineers and data science folk that are going to be able to do all the needs of all these companies moving into the digital transformation space. It just doesn't exist. Like, if you think that right now you can find all these data science people, data engineers, and just bring them down from the ether, they do not exist right now, right? And on top of it, there's quality involved with being a good data engineer and a good data scientist and having a good data science team. So the question is, from a company perspective, is, one, you're trying to fight for the few people out there that can understand this stuff. And on top of it, those people have to be good at what they do, right? So it's almost like democratizing data science. The way that I would probably explain Foundry to everyone, to say, look, you don't need this giant team of experts that have PhDs and have years and years of experience to build a product that's usable to your organization. Foundry, you can get someone and have, build a product, not easily, but build a product with much less resources than you would have had to commit, and with no guarantees that they would have worked anyway. So that's the other thing too.
Okay. Interesting stuff. I think last news thing we got to cover, and I will pull it up right here. The Google news with Palantir. So Google has been recommending Palantir to clients, which is really interesting stuff. When this news dropped, it was interesting because everyone was like, oh my God, Google Palantir, but there wasn't anything official. So we were all kind of like running of like, what's going on? And apparently it was this guy he worked at AWS with their cloud computing sector in the public sector. So he was selling cloud compute to like educational institutions and governments. He's now the chief head director of cloud AI solutions in the public sector for Google. And in his LinkedIn, he was like, I recommend clients use Palantir. And then we found the screenshot of Palantir being sold on GCP, which is Google Cloud Platform. And this was really interesting news. So my take on it was that Google is recommending Palantir to clients primarily because they just, like, the more you think about it, it's like they want to sell more cloud compute at the end of the day. Now, granted, should they want to eat some of Palantir's pie and do some of the stuff that Palantir is doing? That, yes. But there's two ways Google makes money, like two real ways. Ads, which is still like 95% of their business, and then cloud compute. And cloud compute, they are not the leader. I mean, AWS is the guy bringing in 71 billion. I think Google's doing like 20 billion or something per year in cloud compute. So at the end of the day, any business and any operational expenses has an opportunity cost of not maximizing the efficiency and effectiveness of their ads business, or their cloud compute business. And the way I saw this Palantir integration was like, they're not selling it to private sector customers. So already they've like excluded that sector. But for public sector clients, they're recommending Palantir because they know that if they can give a really sophisticated product to public sector clients, they're going to be able to sell cloud compute, and they're going to be able to give them a really strong AI service that they cannot functionally produce yet. Because if they could functionally replicate exactly what they're recommending to clients to get Palantir for, they would do it. But like they can't, obviously. So there is a fundamental difference between selling cloud compute and storage and AI services via Palantir. So what were your guys' thoughts on the integration with recommending Palantir to clients?
It sounds interesting. I missed it. There's so much news. I only have such little time during the day. So I actually missed that. I need to probably look a little bit more into it and learn about it. Did you put it on your Palantir Daily thing?
Yeah, I was just about to show it. So everyone can read this article right here. I go a little bit more in depth on this. Chris, what are your thoughts on this?
I mean, I thought it's great, but nothing that I would jump over. I mean, it's look, one of the biggest value propositions for Palantir is they're vendor agnostic, right? You bring your compute, you bring your storage, we'll bring you your insights. Like that should be their model, you know. So right now, we all knew that GCP already has, you know, like you could use GCP on, and you could use Palantir on GCP, right? As a provider. Same thing with Azure. Same thing with all the other cloud providers. Same thing with all the data lakes that are out there. So that's the one thing. So this is nothing new to me when I saw it. Now, someone on the Google side kind of pushing for it. One of the things that if you really look a little bit into it, you can see that it's the public side, so the government side that was, you know, being pushed to it. It wasn't like a lot of commercial thing there. So right now, Palantir already has so many contracts with the public sector, like the government side. So guess what? Why wouldn't Google also try to kind of say, hey, listen, you can use our cloud compute, you know, to work with Palantir. So this was more along the lines of using Palantir's name to push its own compute rather than push Palantir to people, as far as I can tell. I mean, but I could be wrong on that. I don't think this was like that big of a news. I think what would be really big news is if Palantir somehow was able to get I'll leave it alone. Maybe next time I'll speak about it, because there's just some theories that I have that I'm still trying to decode right now to figure out if they could even be a possibility. But yeah, I think Palantir, this was not one of those things that's like something to just be crazy overly joyed about. I know some people got the I wouldn't call misinformation, or misinterpreted this as Google is using Palantir. Like, no, Google has way more data science people. They have AI people. They have the best AI people that are out there right now. So yeah, I don't think Google is using Palantir as a platform for their own service, their own needs. I think they have something on their own side.
Chris, when you were about to say what you were about to say, and then you paused because it's a theory that you're still working on, and a theory that you're still compartmentalizing in your brain, it reminded me of something. It reminded me of a moment last week that I think the whole world, 8 billion people, need to know about this moment. For everyone who's not subscribed to Chris Patel, first of all, just go subscribe. If you are not subscribed to him or Palantir, you need to subscribe. You need to get your daily dose or your weekly dose of Palantir. Now, when you do that, on Sundays, you'll likely get a video. And Chris did a phenomenal video, 3,000 views. U.S. Army almost took down Palantir. This is how Palantir sued the Army, got everything back. But Chris, when he paused to explain his theory just now, it reminded me of something he did in that video. And I think the world deserves to see it, because it honestly should be like an NFT, to be honest. So let's watch a little bit of what happened.
For governments, not just in the U.S., but outside the U.S., that we're probably going to see over the next few quarters. I think it's going to be an inflection point sometime between 2024 and 2025 when we see all this growth kind of like materialize into something where we see Gotham actually building on itself.
Ahmed, mute yourself.
It's one of those things.
Crisis moment.
He keeps trying. He can't get out of it.
Well, guys, that's it for today. I'm going to try to keep finding more things and deep diving into Palantir.
No, we gotta see that again. We gotta see that again. Yo, I'm not the only one that's dying at that, bro. Like, it looked like you had to take a shit at one point, bro. All right, let's do it again. Let me mute myself.
To something where we see Gotham actually building on itself. It's one of those things.
Questioning life.
To hell with Palantir. Screw this. Can't believe I'm doing this on a Sunday night. That's why.
Thinking about the groceries you forgot to bring.
Well, guys, that's it for today. I'm going to try to keep finding more things and deep diving into Palantir and some of its past and actually see
I love it. That was good.
what the value that can be provided in the future.
Dude, I hate like I know a lot of people think content creation is just like literally talking in front of a camera. I told Amit from day one, so many people were like, Chris, you need to do a channel. You need to do a channel. And I was like, man, I just can't talk to the camera. I feel stupid when I do it. And like sometimes what happens is as I talk, I usually collect thoughts, right? As I'm talking. So what happens is even right now when I'm trying to do a video or whatever, as I'm talking, I'm like, wait a second, did I not phrase that right? Okay, and I pause. I forgot to edit that moment of brain fart out of the video because I was so excited to post the video. But yeah, it was an editing goof on my part. But yeah, that's, what do you guys think about content creation? Like, you guys seem a lot more natural when you're talking to the camera. It's still hard for me. Like today I was actually doing a video about the Air Force and like one of the partnerships they have with the Air Force and this huge program that they have with something called ABMS. And I was just like, I was trying to get it out. And as I'm talking, I'm just like, man, I feel like an idiot. Whereas if I was talking to you guys, I could do like literally just flow right out of me,
Jay, what are your thoughts?
I started YouTube channel in December of 2020. And for that first like 6 months, I probably have more edited content, like content that didn't make it to my YouTube channel than I do videos that I posted. So yeah, I definitely get you. It's hard to speak to the camera but it isn't until you start doing this often and you start like developing these relationships with people on your comment section and everything, then you kind of like start addressing when you're making videos, you're kind of addressing them. You kind of picture their personalities and all that. It makes it a little bit easier. You kind of you know who's going to watch, their personality somewhat through your comment section, and you kind of just start addressing them, so it becomes a little bit easier. And so now it's a little bit easy. Like I'm able to make videos a lot faster. Like I really don't have time right now. Like I don't know how long I can keep up doing YouTube videos right now because I'm doing the full-time job. I'm doing the night school thing for my career, and then I'm a dad. I have 3 kids. I'm a married man and all that. So my job is my schedule's pretty packed. So I don't know how. And then I got some other stuff going on as well. So I don't know how long I can do this for. So a lot of my videos lately. I gotta say, man, shout out to Apple and the iPhone 13 Pro.
Your camera, bro, I thought you had a new DSLR. It was a good camera.
Dude, even so like that Meet Kevin or Meet Jay video that I posted, all the audio and the video is just from my camera. Like it's like the camera's in front of me, all audio and video is from the camera. I thought the audio is pretty decent given that it's from an iPhone. But like dude, like sometimes I'm like in my lunch break, some news breaks, and then I just go to my car and I record it on the iPhone. And then I throw like an image on top of that. And then that's the video. It's a 3-minute long video. When my videos are short, you guys know I'm on my lunch break. But yeah.
Dude, man, the first time you recorded, I was like, man, that's an amazing camera, Jay. Where did you get it? He's like, it's just an iPhone. I was like, oh, what?
Bro, that's my thing. Because like the background was blurred out and everything. I was like, yo, that's better than my camera. What is that? And he's like, it's an iPhone. I even commented that, right? I was like, yo, what camera is you? Like, it's an iPhone 13.
It's called cinematic mode on Apple. Shout out to Apple. Sponsored this video, by the way. No, I'm just kidding. They did not sponsor this video, but shout out to Apple for making great cameras. So content creation, I think it's definitely hard. That's what I'm saying. Like Ahmet just gets on there and he could wake up at 6 a.m. and talk for 3 hours and talk about the market and all these other different things. That's hard, dude. What you do is difficult. And
I haven't been doing it this week because this week I've been sleeping so late, and I got to get back on it next week. But yeah, no, it's exciting.
For anyone that thinks this content creation game is easy, dude, go ahead, put a camera in front of you and just talk and see what you sound like, see what you look like. Trust me, it gets really hard, you know. And some people have a lot more natural like feeling to get it done, whereas other people it takes time to develop. I know for me it's going to take a long time because I guess I could do a presentation in front of like 100 people very easily, and I do. Like I've had conferences where I've actually given lectures to 100 people at a time. But then when I'm looking at just a singular camera, it's hard. It's hard.
Yo, someone just said I'm ugly. I know I can't. Bro, I feel like I kind of feel like if you're ugly, it's easier to do it because like what do you have to lose? Like I don't consider myself the most attractive guy in the world. Like I get in front of the camera, like what is someone gonna say? Oh, you're like eye looks. It's like okay, I've known that for the past 24 years. You think that's gonna hurt me now? Like so. I mean, physical looks to me are not a reason to not make video content. Like
Yeah.
you know, especially on YouTube where like anyone can succeed with personality. It's really not about looks at all. It's just not.
Yeah, lean into the ugly.
Lean into the ugly.
And that's a metaphor, obviously. We're not saying it to be mean. It's just
Yeah.
like, all right, if you feel insecure, then lean into that and just, you know, just own it at the end of the day. Like the amount of stuff people have said about me, whether it's my hair or my hat or my beard. I mean, I've been called Osama bin Laden like 17,000 times on the chat. Bro, people just throw it. They're like, you know, there's this one guy I had to block just because every video is like, so Osama bin Laden, when are you shaving your beard? That like American. I'm just like, all right, bro. I can take the jokes, but like you're like really pushing it right now. Like it's not that serious.
Hey, so I get a lot of that. A lot of folks thought I was Middle Eastern for a very long time.
Yeah, I thought Jay was Indian, bro. I did not think Jay was whatever your background is.
Yeah, I'm Hispanic. Both of my parents are Mexican, so I'm Mexican. Born here in the United States. A lot of people thought that I was Chris Patel for a while. Chris Patel started making videos. They're like, dude, your content quality is so much better now. You seem so much more knowledgeable. I'm like, no, that's Chris.
You seem more excited. You don't have to pause when you speak. No, that's
dude. The same thing after the Alex Carp question. Everyone's like, dude, congrats, you got to ask a question. I was like, dude, that wasn't me. That was Jay.
I would have just rolled with it. Like, yeah, I know. Me and Alex go way back. Yeah, dude, I would get a lot of that. And then I think it was the investor call that really ousted me.
Let's watch that right now. Hold on. Before you continue, let's watch that. Okay. I got it on your Twitter right now. It's your pinned tweet, by the way.
Of course, bro. Like, Alex is talking to me. You think I'm not going to pin that?
All right, so let me mute myself.
Again, thank you for taking my question, and thank you for allowing a retail investor like myself to have a seat at the table. It's much appreciated. Doesn't go unnoticed. Bye.
I see myself as a retail investor, and I have all my assets in Palantir. So I'm very happy to meet another retail investor.
Yeah, I feel like we bonded that moment.
I think that was a legendary quote by him when he was like, well, I'm a retail investor and all my assets are. As soon as he said that, I was like, my guy, bro, let's go. Like he was playing to the crowd. I loved it. It was good.
For 1 second, I felt like he was telling me all your assets should be in Palantir. He almost convinced me. I just can't let go of that Tesla though. Yeah, I can't let go of my Tesla shares. Yeah, dude. But just kind of going back to like that content creation thing. I think Chris, lately you've been posting a lot of cool stuff, man, like very out of the box type of content where you're looking into Palantir's history of like things that they've developed in the past and things like that. I really love that stuff, dude. Lately I've been trying to do like a switch in my content. This is for anybody that's trying to do content. I tried to do this for the Wejo interview that I had with the CEO. Like I try to create better quality content. And for those of you that like sit there and just watch like an hour worth of a video, like behind the scenes, that took like many hours to do from contacting the CEO, from scheduling a time, from actually recording the thing, editing the thing, posting the thing, advertising that we're going to have this conversation. So that took a lot of time. So yeah, like even like a 5-minute video probably takes like an hour to 2 hours to make. So
I was gonna say, me and Jay were talking about it last night, and Jay really did put a lot of work into that Richard Barlow interview, and he's had other videos do better than an interview that he had with the CEO of a $400 million public company. And I think that is the conundrum that exists in content, which is I was talking about Jay last night, because I've had the same thing happen to me. I do such a good video and it like barely does well. Is that content is a commodity. And at the end of the day, you know, people might click, they might not click. And the key point for anyone who wants to go into content, and none of us are like super successful in it, but I think all of us can relate, you just got to keep going. You just got to keep hitting. And so for this comment right here, why has Jay suddenly burst onto the scene? Because Jay put himself out there. He put out content.
I want people to know Jay was on the scene way before we were. The only difference is he was before. He was Mr. Moon Money at one point, and then beyond.
That was his name, Mr. Moon Money? I didn't know that.
You don't know that? Dude, I've been following Jay forever, dude. Mr. Moon Money. What was the other one, Jay?
I started off as Beyond Our Money.
Beyond Our Money.
The idea was to talk about just all kinds of stocks and stuff like that and financial advice. I'm a lot more like conservative with financial advice. I don't buy leaps or options or anything like that. I don't believe in buying you know, on margin or anything like that. I'm pretty conservative with the way I do things, and I thought that was kind of the voice that I would be able to bring to this YouTube finance space. But I ended up getting stuck with Palantir. Like I started talking a lot about Palantir, and not a lot of people were talking about it. I think the only other person at that time was probably Jackson doing like in-depth analysis of Palantir. Yeah. And then you had some of Tom Nash, but Tom Nash wouldn't really do a lot of in-depth analysis like Jackson would. I think Jackson would do that. So let's put it this way. Like Jackson was Chris Patel back in 2021. I was a Met. I was putting out 3 to 4 videos a day and bringing people onto the YouTube channel at that time. And then there was a moment where like I was going to move to Oregon, had a job opportunity, ended up deciding not to do that. But that time, it was like 3 months of my life where that took up so much time in my life where I'd stopped doing YouTube. And then when I wanted to come back to it, I decided I wanted to change my name because a lot of people were comparing me to another channel, the name, the brand, the whole thing. So I was like, I'm going to change the name. So I came up with the stupid name, Mr. Moon Money, and I hated it.
Hey, why
so
Mr. Moon Money?
Stupider name,
I don't get it.
Dude,
why Mr. Moon Money?
I don't know, dude. don't. Dude,
I still remember when he changed it to Palantrillion. That was awesome. It literally happened in front of us.
Are you going to keep that name forever, or are you going to change it again?
Palantrillion?
Yeah.
No, bro, that's it. That's your brand now. You can't change it now. Like, imagine Nike changing their name at this point. Dude, Palantrillion is what we know.
Not Nike.
I will change it once they hit $1 trillion market cap.
Okay, so he's not changing it. He's not changing it for a while. He's not changing it.
But it's going to be a very long time now.
I only ask because if you ever did want to talk about stuff outside of Palantir, you know, it feel like it would probably off-brand on the channel completely. So that's why I was asking. Like,
well, the thing I considered about like when I was going to change it to Palantrillion, the thing about that I considered about that was that Palantir is such a broad topic. Like it's not just Palantir; it's also their SPACs and everything they're doing. So electric scooters, electric vehicles, satellites. So it's all of this going on: space, mud, army. It's politics, man. It's the CEOs. It's the intrinsic CEOs that they have, the founders. You know, it's their history, right? It's PayPal. It's the PayPal mafia. It's all of this. So content doesn't stop. I think there's a lot of content when it comes to Palantir. So I think that going off of that brand and just kind of building on that would be great. And the Palantir content creation community is pretty cool. I like it. I like what Coach Strap is doing. And I could foresee like some content creators actually being inspired to become coders, learning how to code, ending up getting their certification program in Foundry or their certification in Foundry, and then building a business or something like that, making connections through this community. So I think we're here to stay for a while. I think Palantir is definitely a serious business, so I'm okay with the Palantrillion name, even though I get a lot of flack for it, man. It's like, really, you think Palantir is going to go to $1 trillion? You're just you're just pumping the stock, and it's like,
I mean, yeah, there's no pumping when it's down 80%. Like, we're just analyzing it at this point. So Michael Ray, I don't feel like enough negative news is related from you guys to us about Palantir. Tom Nash outlines the risk. Sashi answered it. This comment could not be so further from the truth. Like, I don't think you've been watching for a while. I mean, the amount of the amount of stuff Chris has said about how much risk there is with Palantir, like, don't judge it off a 1 hour video where we talked about some good stuff that happened this week. There are tons of risk with the company, but at the end of the day, we believe the benefits outweigh the risk, but we don't sugarcoat it. Chris?
Trust me, I've gotten flamed so many times for being the resident bear on this. And I'm like, bro, I'm not even bearish. I just try to present an opinion on the other side. Sometimes I have to force myself to present the other side, right? Because, like I said, I think that even the bear cases are short-term in nature, that Palantir has the ability to kind of like step over eventually. But I see it there, and I've been one of the people that always says Palantir's biggest problem right now is execution risk. And I've always said that. And even when what's his name? When Sachin was like, "Oh, I'm going all in," I was like the voice of reason. I was like, "Nah, man, I'm not going all in. Like, I can't afford to go all in like that because there's still a lot of things that prevent me from doing that." So everyone has their own thing to put into it. Like, my biggest bear case and bear argument against Palantir right now is that government and commercial side, that they're together. Because if you think about it, it's almost like they bleed into each other a little bit. Because what happens is, if you want to do like a commercial partnership with Palantir, because of that government relationship and all the negatives to it, like targeting of drones, Palantir helped the U.S. government, target people in Afghanistan with drones. Why would I want to be affiliated with that company? Well, I don't, so I'm not going to do a commercial partnership, even if their product is really good. These are the kinds of things that, like, I've brought up in the past. And even when I said, hey, let's divide up Palantir to government and commercial, dude, let me tell you, I've never got so much hate after that. It's like, are you stupid? What kind of logic is that? And I'm like, dude, it makes perfect sense when you think about all the negative press that Palantir gets because of its contracts with the government, And like I said, it's a risk, but the company feels strongly that, hey, our fundamentals are deeply rooted in being this company for good, and that means that we're going to have to take the good with the bad. And so maybe they'll never be able to grow to the potential of $1 trillion because they never want to give up that culture of always defending America first. Sometimes I hate to say this, but as an investor, this is Chris Patel, the investor. Sometimes you have to give up your core beliefs and pivot to an area because you know that that's going to provide more profit. Chris Patel, I'm taking that hat off. As the American, dude, I love Palantir. I want the Western democracies to succeed, and I want our soldiers and warfighters to have the best technology in the world that's literally going to help us defeat every other country if they ever mess with us, But like I said, there's two hats, right?
100%. I agree. And that's it. That is weekly review number 8 for Palantir. I think Chris made the right point. Like, at the end of the day, it's a risk. I think all of us are betting our YouTube careers that this risk is not only financial. Like, if this shit fails, well, we got nothing. So hopefully, but that's me about life. I love taking the risk. And I mean, last thing I'll say is there's not that many good companies that exist, especially public companies. There's very few companies that you can put your money into that are actively for the past 2 years have been growing 30% year over year. So when you find a company and a technology that does that and you want to make content about it, you better be ready to deal with all the negative comments, but also you better go all in and cover it, because then if you start covering Palantir when it gets to $60-$70, it's not as genuine as when Dave Lee was covering Tesla when it was in 2012, So if you want to do content around a company, I think it makes sense to jump in before it gets big. But also, the only way you stay before it's big is if you can handle all the negativity. The only way you can handle all the negativity is if you actually give a shit about the company, which means it can't be inauthentic even when it's not doing that well. And if you can stay through those 4, 5, 6 years of while it's in the gutter and then it finally runs, then you're going to be looked at as someone who is a genuine, authentic member of the community. And I think that's what all three of us are trying to do. And A-Rod is betting his marriage.
Yes, that makes two of us, A-Rod. That makes two of us. When you have 60% of your portfolio in Palantir, you're definitely betting your marriage on it. So, yeah.
All right, that's it. We're done. Thank you guys for watching weekly number 8. I hope you guys enjoy. Doug says my friends have disowned me. I was talking to my friend the other day. He was like, "Oh, that secret weird company." I was like, "Bro, I was like, I launched the whole website on this company. They was like, what the fuck, man? You launched the whole website on this company? I'm like, yeah, but it's a long side. Because my friends have no idea what I do on the side. They're like, okay, cool. I was like, yeah, bro. All right, whatever. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Chris, any final thoughts? We're good?
No. There was one person in the comment section that said, "Oh, I've never collabed with Jackson." I'm like, dude, I've been on his channel like more than once.
I've never collabed with Jackson, but yeah, you've been talking with him plenty.
Dude, I started talking to him, and like we were exchanging ideas and even exchanging some of their partnerships quite a while ago. So, I think this community still has a lot of connections that to be made. I'm glad we had Jay on here. I think we have some other people joining us in a few weeks that we haven't really collabed with jointly yet, and that's where this community is growing. And I think it's gonna be fun and it's gonna be big. And I hope you guys keep joining us for these Friday weekly podcasts.
We got to get Jackson on, true. We got to ask him. We got to definitely get him. All right. Jay, any last thoughts?
Just thanks for having me on, man. This was a lot of fun. It was nice to see a good-looking brother like Chris Patel, like my twin brother. No, but this was a lot of fun, and it's really cool to be hanging out with folks, everyone that's here on the comment section, and thank you guys for being on here. This was
you guys chose us over Netflix on a Friday night, which
awesome.
We deeply appreciate. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you, Jay. Definitely subscribe to Palantrilling, the YouTube channel. Chris Patel, all in the description. See you guys next week.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.